Number 6, this is meant to be a crash course rather than a comprehensive piece of education. But prior to this webinar, I had to scramble and I managed to interview 6 CFOs at companies that were all doing at least $100 million in annual revenue. And so I'm going to share a few things that I learned. Now, this is why this is important. As the economy dips, the CFO's scrutiny on spend, even if it's not a fintech tool or a financial tool, rises. Type yes in the chat if you've dealt with this. You've had to make a business case to a CFO, or maybe you haven't had to do that before. Are you dealing with that dynamic? Sean Gentry must be in the audience. He says bars, texted me, he said bars equals rapping. LOL, those Gen Z. Still don't understand what rapping means, unless we're just talking about actually rapping. Okay, a bunch of you are dealing with CFOs. Economy dips, CFO spend rises. One of the examples that I saw is there were a lot of CFOs where their spend threshold in 2021 was 500 grand. They didn't need to approve any sort of spend unless it got up to 500 grand. In 2023, those same companies have dipped to $50,000. I know a CFO where at the company, they have a policy, any spend that hits $3,000 or higher, the CFO has to approve that deal. Oof, that is rough. And here's what's hard about selling to CFOs. You almost never get to talk to them directly unless you're selling something that a CFO uses, right? So CFOs are approving all these deals or not approving all these deals, and you don't even get to talk to them. That can make for a very difficult selling environment. So what you're going to have to do most of the time is empower your champion to sell on your behalf. Enrique says, bro, you started with a sentence that rhymes equals bars. Okay, so let's talk about a few things to get this done. Like I said, I interviewed 6 CFOs before this, and there were a few commonalities that I landed on as a result of interviewing them. Number 1, your champion's internal financial reputation. This was common to all of them. When I would ask the question, how do you buy and evaluate new spend and deal with people that are coming to you for budget requests? The first thing almost all of them said is, does this head of department have a history of being a free spender with us? Or do they have a history of being budget conscious and scrutinizing their own spend? They are very hard on people who have a history of being free spenders, and they're a lot easier on people that have a reputation for good financial stewardship. Those words are what they used, financial stewardship. So you need to get a sense of your champion's internal reputation, at least according to the CFO. And a good way to do that is simply ask, how did things go last time you requested budget from your CFO? That'll start to give you a sense. It's not going to give you the full picture, but it'll start to get you a sense of, do I have the right champion? Or is this person going to get kicked in the teeth and we need to build a bulletproof business case to get this done? Okay. Number 2, all of them said a clear value story. This one's a little bit counterintuitive because every seller out there thinks CFOs are all about ROI or nothing. And they all told me this, ROI is important, but it's not everything, and they will spend on things that don't have a guaranteed ROI sometimes. And here's what they meant by a value story. There were 3 elements that consistently came up in these interviews with them. They said, number 1, I want to see that my champion has a clear definition of the problem. It shouldn't be generic. It shouldn't be vanilla. It should feel unique to us as a business. Have they defined the problem? Number 2, have they analyzed the potential causes of that problem? Right? Because if they haven't done that and all they have is a problem, we could go in a million different directions in solving this. And number 3, a clear articulation of the desired outcome they're trying to achieve. This isn't necessarily a promise, but what should we be expecting? They would tell me that if their champions requesting budget from them as a CFO were kind of hand wavy about these things, those conversations would not go very well. So the 4 value buckets that resonate most with the CFOs that I talked to, and you'll have to find the specific version of this, but reduce cost, maximize productivity, improve top line, mitigate risk, all in a way that isn't a fuzzy stretch, because everybody's making these claims. You have to draw a clearer line to be able to deliver on these. Okay, we're going to keep moving because we're running out of time. Number 3, they wanted to see success measurements and milestones from their champions. Okay, I'm going to go back. What that basically meant is, all right, we deploy the software solution. What are the milestones that we can hold the vendor and you as a champion accountable to? So the reason I share these 3 things with you is these are what you should use to coach your champions to sell to the CFO. You've got to get clear on how that champion is perceived as far as their reputation, because that's going to tell you how rigorous you need to get. You've got to help them get clear on a value story that includes the 3 elements we talked about. And then you've got to coach them. All right, here are the milestones that we need to present to your CFO that prove that this project is progressing as expected. That's going to look a little bit different for every business, but what do the implementation milestones look like? What do the longer term success measurements look like?